Hey everybody. Um, this one's gonna be a little different than normal. I doing a lot of thinking and praying, even crying a little bit. Um, I'm thinking a lot about my children, my grandchildren, and I felt inspired to do this piece. And it's funny that I came upon a Lawrence Welk album. My grandma and grandpa used to play Lawrence Welk, and I used to watch the Lawrence Welk show with him. And I know probably 80% of you don't know who that is, but he had the show in the 70s where he played polka music, and it was a variety show. It was but I always think of it fondly. I'm not a real big polka fan, but I love the memories I've had with Lawrence Welk. And well, I'll talk and I'll paint. I I know that a lot of parents don't always get a lot of time, for whatever reason, to pass on wisdom or mistakes, even with their children, whether it be divorce, whether it be death, whether it be anything. It doesn't really matter whose fault it is. But I was thinking about my grandchildren, and regardless of what the reasoning was, I didn't get a whole lot of chance to sow into my children, my two younger specifically, my daughters, because the divorce and separation and all that mess. And parents have things to instill in their kids, whether they're good parents, bad parents, as long as they're parents. Hopefully they'll be there for their children. And there's God instills things in people to share with their children so that they can share with their children, and so on and so forth. And not that I have anything specific that I'm thinking about, but there if I were around more for my children, I know that there may have been things that I could have helped prevent in their lives, or add to their lives, or whatever. And when I think about my grandparents, there tends to be a little bit more, I don't know what you call it, just grandparents can speak into their grandchildren's lives a little easier than a parent can with their kids, because they're your parents and they're your kids, and there's certain barriers there, and just in general. And I was thinking about now I have two grandchildren now, and I'm sure I'm going to have more. Actually, I know I'll have another one in December, January, and then more there to come. And it's just it's so important. And grandparents are taken for granted a lot of times, because they're the ones that are fun, or they're mean, or for whatever reason. There's so much wisdom a grandparent can share with a child. Now, not with a little tiny baby. I mean, they're babies, but there are things that even you didn't learn until you were older, that you can share with a grandchild that you probably didn't know when you had your children. And I tend to be a little rambly sometimes, but I don't know, it's just been in my heart. And what I'm attempting to do now, I'm going to do a swipe. And I've never done a swipe with spirals before. And I thought long and hard, and kind of just spent a little time with the Lord and asked, what colors am I supposed to use? And I tried this one, and I was like, no, I don't think that one's the one, and so on and so forth. And so, if you're wondering what I'm doing, these colors are significant. Some I'm not even sure of why, but they just are. I know that purple means royalty. I know blood represents, or the red represents, the blood of Christ, or pain or suffering or whatever. And you know what? It's not always the good stuff that needs to be passed on to the grandchildren or the children. Sometimes you need to share the mistakes you've made, so that they won't have the mistakes that you made, or at least have a little bit more, understanding or wisdom or knowledge before they, can face what you faced, and whether you achieved it or triumphed over it or didn't. Your experience is valuable to your children and to your grandchildren, and it's like, if you don't pass on what you have, your life experience is part of their life, or it should be. Just like your blood is passed on, or your tendencies and your wisdom. And two of my grandchildren aren't gonna. One of them isn't my blood, and the other one won't be. But that blood's important. But relationship to me is more important than any blood would ever be. And regardless, I have equal love for both my grandchildren. I will for all of them. I know I will, because that's just the person that I am. So I say all that to say that I don't know if this is wisdom for other people or just me just venting. I don't know. But I do know that there is a lot that I have to share with my grandchildren, and even still with my children. It's not like they're not too old to still receive from me. Of course not. But like I said, there are things that even when I was an adult I hadn't experienced yet. So my children didn't get any of the benefit of that, and even then, all I'm saying is that it's important to sow into the lives of your children and your grandchildren, no matter what mistakes you've made, or even despite them, and because of them sometimes. So, all right, so there, I've said all that. And I'm using this specifically because I wanted ridges and lines and colors to come through, because not everything that you've experienced is worth sharing. Not everything, but nuances of it, and parts of it, and sometimes all of it is worth passing on. And there's different layers, different generations, and I'm not just limiting this to grandparents. I mean, even uncles and aunts and friends of the family, and people that are present in the children and grandparents' life. They have a lot to share. So before I ramble too long, which I tend to do, I just want to see how this turns out. And right now, it's already starting to spread and bubble and do its thing, and I like it. I can't say for sure that I'm going to leave it that way, because I tend not to leave things the way I maybe should at times, which again is something that is good to pass on. My tendency to overdo things sometimes, or to not do things enough. And anyway, there we go, Free Flow family. I have shared my 2 cents or $2 or $200 or whatever you want to call it. It could be worth nothing. It could be worth a lot. But there we go. God bless you. I hope this helped you. It helped me. I love you guys. Thanks. Bye-bye.